Okay.
Check one, two.
All right, we're in good shape.
Hmm.
So, yes, Derry, it's a pleasure to have you here joining us on the show. This is a podcast about, well, it's mainly focused on what happened in the 90s. So, we talk about the 90s, but we also want to know exactly what Honeymoon Suite is up to now. Now, what are you currently working on at this time?
Well, we're definitely not touring,
Yeah.
um, but on the upside, we're working on a new album, and we have been for about the last 18 months, kind of on and off,
Hmm.
um, bits and pieces. We're really close to getting it done as of last February. Johnnie,
Mm.
were over in England doing the final overdubs, vocals and guitar and that. And then the pandemic hit uh,
Hmm.
just when we came back. So the album is not done, and we're waiting to get back there to finish. However, we have released two singles, um, one last fall, and the new single, Find What You're Looking For, which came out in June. And that's doing really well. We actually charted on Canadian radio for the
Congratulations. That's wonderful news.
first time in like 18 years or something. And we're at 23 on the Billboard chart, which is really weird to say because we haven't been on a chart in a long time because radio has changed so much
Hmm.
for rock and rock bands like us. But I'm ecstatic. I mean, it's really great to be on the radio again, and people love the song. So that's what we've been doing since we're not touring. We're promoting that. We're posting stuff on our Facebook. We're trying to keep engaged with the fans with videos and whatnot, and do whatever we can to keep out there while we sit at home during this time. And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a weird time for musicians to be trying to connect with the fans. In fact, I think in some ways, even though you can't see them in person, um, just doing all of the stuff that they could do on video and on social media has made them closer in some ways.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it has. It keeps you engaged, and it's a real personal thing.
mm,
For your fans because everybody's sitting at home now for the most part or working from home and sitting in front of a computer, so we keep in touch, with these kind of home videos and virtual things that we do. Fans love that stuff, and gives me something to do while I sit at home. But I tell you, I'm writing a lot of songs and playing
wonderful.
guitar because the album isn't done yet. So I will continue to write songs till it's finished, so we can put the best thing out there.
Are you feeling inspired to write right now with all the things going on?
Yeah, yeah. I'm always inspiration comes at the oddest times. There's no rules for it.
Yeah.
I pick up my guitar and start playing, and like always, that's where my songs come from. Just jamming things out, and I get my ideas like that. That's how a lot of
Hmm.
songs start with me. So if I'm not inspired, then I'll just practice for a while. But yeah, what I'm doing.
We're going to share some clips of the new stuff on the show for all of our listeners so they can get a taste of the new Honeymoon Suite. Now, I know you established your success with so many hits in the midnight or mid 80s, three great albums and a greatest hits record, all before the 90s even happened. Um, where were your heads at headed into the new decade with these achievements you already had under your belt heading into the 90s?
Oh, the '90s were a terrible time
Yeah.
for bands like us because of grunge and
Mm-hmm.
Nirvana and Seattle and all that. That came in and just killed the '80s and all of our types of bands. But that's the music business, right? It goes in cycles. And there's a lot of great music that came out of the '90s, but it made our sort of style not so relevant. Um, but we did manage to put out, I think, two records in the '90s, independent CDs. We kept going regardless because great music is gonna, stick around and you keep at it. You still have your fans; they didn't go away.
It's
So we
true.
cleared through. We just didn't tour as much, and we did other things musically and just kind of waited it out. Now you're seeing melodic rock back in a big way, and that's really great for us.
And that makes me very happy because that's definitely like my favorite way to listen to rock and roll. Yeah. So
Mhm.
did you feel the pressure to change your sound when grunge came into the forefront, and what were your thoughts on that at the time?
No, because that's the dumbest thing a band can do is kind of tailor their sound to what's on the radio right then and try and be something they're not.
Mhm.
Because by the time you put your music out, that will be gone anyways. We have to stay true to our sound, to our brand,
Mm.
um, and that's what our fans want. So we continued to do that. We might have been influenced a little bit. We put an album out called Lemon Tongue in the early 90s, which had some sort of, I would say, a little bit of grungy element to it. That's just what I was writing. I get influenced by that, but it really
Mm.
wasn't who we are. It wasn't the classic sound of the band. So after that, I just said, no, we've got to do what we do, and for better for worse, just write great songs, and they will find their audience.
And you'd become a trio at that time, hadn't you, when you were just starting the decade there?
In the 90s,
Yeah.
some of the original guys left for a while through that period. Johnnie and I, actually, we were a duo. It was at one point it was down to just Johnnie and I,
Mm.
and it never broke up. We just didn't play for a long time because there wasn't any really tours out there that were any good for us. But
Mm.
when we did, we had different musicians in the band, session players, and guys that were just great players and really were good. And we went out and toured when we could. But I got kind of tired of that revolving door, and I really missed the original band. So I
Mm.
contacted everybody at the end of the 90s or somewhere around there, and I put the original band back together, and we haven't looked back since. It's just so much fun, and that's our sound, and everybody's. It's the way it should be. So that's where we're at now.
And not many bands can say that they were able to keep that lineup together the way you have then, and the longevity behind it. So kudos to you guys. That's amazing.
No,
Yeah, it's tough. Now, starting the decade with, I believe, Monsters Under the Bed is the album that was primarily the one we know of from that decade. What was this collection of songs expressing for you?
Monsters was a different type of record. We were down. Dave and Gary had left at that point, and it was me, Johnnie, and Ray Colburn on keyboards.
Mm.
And it was our last album that we did on Warner. We kind of took a little different, more of a serious direction, I would say, with
Mm.
that record. We really worked hard on it. The songs, there's some different subject matter on there. And me and Johnnie wrote, and Ray wrote the whole record. Um, and it is a classic album. It really is a good album, but it's not like The Big Prize or the first album. And that's fine for a band to change gears like that. I don't want to keep putting out the same album. Uh,
No.
it didn't do as well as the other three records, but that was just a part of the industry at the time. I
Hmm.
thought it was a great record sonically and that, but the songs were a little bit different. And there's some of our fans just love that record. It's
Hmm.
different, but it's part of our whole catalog, and I'm quite proud of it. Um, yeah, it was a great album.
Do you still play a lot of the songs from that album to this day, even though we haven't had a show, obviously, with COVID in a while, but in your last shows, do you play
Off,
many from that?
off of Monsters,
Yeah.
we were doing the "Say You Don't Know Me" was the single off that album, one of the singles, and
Mm.
we played that in our show forever. It's a powerful track. It's the first track on the album. Yes, we still do
Mm.
that song live, and there's a couple of others that we played for a while, but there's so many songs now. I think we have 7 or 8 albums that we can't do everything, so we have to pick and
Yeah.
choose songs, especially the big singles from the first 3 albums are just a given. We have
Yeah.
those, and I love to do that. And then up beyond that, we select songs from later records and put them in because we only have 90 minutes. I'd like to play
Mm.
more, but We
It's
do it.
true. Do you like doing some of the deep cuts live? And the hardcore fans probably appreciate that.
I do, but they come to hear the hits. But you
Hmm.
have to balance it out with some deep cuts, absolutely. And we'll change the show up from time to time to pull something out from a B side or the other side of the record, and it's really refreshing to do that on stage. It challenges you, and people like it. We'll do that.
What are some of your favorite tracks from that album?
From Monsters,
From Monsters, yeah. Your
uh,
personal favorites.
Bring on the Light.
Yeah.
Bring on the Light was a great song, and that was written. I think around that time there was this whole thing going on in Oka, Quebec, with the Native Canadians
Mm.
facing off with the government over some land rights or something. There was a big thing going on, and that kind of influenced that me and the writing of that. Um, it's a killer track. Um, Bring on the Light, and what else? All I Wanted is a very deep cut, but a
Mm.
very cool cut. Um, yeah, let me think what else is on that album. Stuff. It's now you've got me on the spot, but
I know I'm really digging into people's past, but I like to know what not the standard cookie cutter kind of questions. I'd like to know some of the deeper stuff about your experiences during that time and what you're doing now. So that's why I ask.
yeah. Well, the thing about Monsters, it was a really great experience. We recorded it. If you want to know more about it, it was done at Morin Heights in Quebec.
Yes.
Yes, which is super legendary, famous studio. I mean, Rush did moving pictures there, and
Hmm.
several of their records. Some huge albums were done there. I mean, Mutt Lange worked there, and
Mm.
it's unbelievable the history of that place. We were in there probably a few years before it closed. It's gone now, but it was
Mm.
still a functioning studio, and we Paul Northfield was producing, and
Mhm.
you live there. It's right on a lake, and you kind of live at the place, and you get up and you're in the studio all night. Then you go back and you sleep and you get up. It was such a cool experience there. I remember one day we're sitting in the lounge and Neil Peart comes riding up on his bicycle because he used to live up there, and just
Mm.
comes in, hey guys, how are you? Um, just kind of stuff like that would happen, and it's a French Canadian countryside, and super cool vibe, and yeah, just a great place to make a record.
What part of Canada are you from?
I grew up in St. Catharines,
Yeah.
Ontario, next to Niagara Falls, where Johnnie's from. So
Hmm.
that's where we, the whole honeymoon suite thing. It's where we kind of
Yes.
that. And then I moved up to Toronto for many years, where I met Johnnie and put the band together. And for about the last 16, 17 years, I've been in the U.S. in Illinois.
Oh, wonderful.
Mhm.
What are your favorite things about your country when you think about your Canadian upbringing? What are some of the things you'd recommend to someone who's never been to Canada?
It's compared to what's going on down here in the U.S., everybody's so divided and angry. Um,
Mm.
when I come to Canada, which normally this time of year I'd be up there all the time, like every weekend, it's like a breath of fresh air when I step off the airplane. It's a different vibe. People are happy, they're friendly, or they're not as judgmental or divided or angry about everything. They're just happy Canadians, and I feel good when I'm there. People are friendly and just don't really worry about things so much. They're just happy to live in a great country that takes care of them. And yeah, I mean, I love Canada. It's where I'm
Mm.
from, and I'll always love it.
I don't think I'll ever leave this country. I love Canada too. I live in Edmonton, actually.
You're in Edmonton.
That's right. Yeah.
I know Edmonton very well. As you know, we've been there a million times playing, but I also have family in Edmonton
Oh,
that
great.
that have been there for my 30 years. So I know Edmonton well. I have some great deep family ties there.
Yeah, no, we seem to be doing pretty good here. We've got the NHL bubble going on right now, and the weather's great. So I love this city.
Yeah, I see that. They're still playing hockey. It's kind of funny. Uh,
Hmm.
I've been watching that. Well, good. You know, I can't
Oilers,
stop hockey.
Oilers were out so fast, I stopped watching right away.
I
But it,
well, yeah, I know.
yeah,
Your Oilers are very
there,
yeah.
it's been 30 years since we won the cup. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's starting to take its toll on the fans, I think. But
Well,
um,
you've got a big new building there now, right?
oh, it's beautiful. Oh my goodness, that is a beautiful arena. I hope you come see it one
Yep.
day here.
Yeah, I will. Well, hockey is, it's like that. It's like that.
Mm,
You had your dynasty, and someday it'll come back. It's a strange game, but
true. Be patient, right? What was one of your most I'm not talking properly today. Memorable performances, and what kind of favorite memories do you have from performing at places like Much Music, for example?
um, wow, much music.
Mm,
When we put our first record out, we were so lucky to be on the crest of that wave. Um, right place, right time, and all that. Our first album was a great record, and it really just clicked right away. But half of that equation, I really believe, is Much Music and MTV starting up at that time, and the video age. Okay,
yeah.
that had so much to do with just our skyrocketing our success. Um, Getting our music and our visuals to people. So we love Much Music. We went there many
Mm,
times. It was super important part equation in our success.
mm,
Performances, man, there's just so many. I mean, so many things happen on that first record, and touring Canada and being on American Bandstand in the U.S. And just playing our first headline tour in Canada, doing nights at Kingswood Music Theatre in Toronto, doing
mm,
headlining these sheds for 2 nights, and getting on American tours. All of a sudden, we got signed to Warner's in the States, Warner Brothers. So we went from being a 6 night a week cover bar band in Northern Ontario to getting our deal and putting our record out. And 6 months later, we're on a tour bus and we're opening in arenas all through America.
incredible.
First tour was with Jethro Tull, if you can believe that. But
Hmm.
for a bunch of young guys south of the border, it was so much. Yeah, it was fun. It really was a great time, and doing these hockey arenas. The Spectrum in Philadelphia and the Boston Garden and all these ones I'd seen hockey in. Now you're playing,
Mm.
so it was pretty cool.
What a feeling that would be. Is there a different sense of achievement when you make that success happen in America as opposed to Canada?
Absolutely. I mean, I love Canada, but the focus has to be bigger than that. I mean,
Yeah.
I wanted the world, and as much
Yeah.
as we get outside, we were lucky because we scored in the States pretty early with the MTV and the airplay, so that got us down there. And America is such a huge country. There's great things and not so great things here, but I've always loved being in America. I'd gone down there when I was a kid many times, on vacations and stuff. It's such an
Mm.
interesting place. There's so many different parts of America, and to tour through it and meet the people, it's a lot of fun. Quite an education.
What do you think the youth of today, especially the young musicians, can learn from the past, from what bands like yourselves have accomplished?
What can they learn? Well, the business is completely different now from
Mm,
when we started out in terms of bands getting a record deal and selling albums and record companies. Now that's all different, but one thing hasn't changed is that you've got to have great songs. If you're putting a band together, you really got to work at your craft. You got to practice. You got to if you're in a band, you got to have a great singer. I will say
mm,
that if you're not the singer, then you should find one, because that's so important to get signed and get on the radio. And you got to write great songs and get out of your bedroom and go out and tour and play everywhere and anywhere you can, get your shit together. Because doing YouTube videos in your bedroom is great, but it's not a career. You have to get out there and pay your dues.
Yeah.
That's my advice, and then you'll have more longevity.
That's the secret to the longevity. That's one of my questions you answered too. It's great. um, so, what hard lessons have you learned throughout your career that help shape who you are today?
Well, man, there's been ups and downs. We've had some great highs, but some big lows too. But I knew what I was getting into, and I'm into this for forever, for as long as I can do it, because I don't want to do anything else. And you have to take the good with the bad, not become jaded, and just kind of persevere. You definitely don't do it for the money. The money's a nice byproduct because it gives you a bit of security to keep, so that you don't have to work a day job. You can just concentrate on music. But you really have to have a passion and a love for it, because you'll get knocked down so many times. But you have to be inspired, and you have to love. You definitely have to love music, push through, and you have to have a thick skin, especially if you're a songwriter.
Oh, yeah. Being a songwriter, especially, I can imagine that for sure. I mean, I've written some songs myself too, but I found it's very therapeutic. Um, do you get that feeling when you're writing, that you
Yeah,
kind of like let things off your chest?
totally. It's a great way to get things out,
Mm.
get back at people that you don't like in a in a veiled kind of way, and to kind of speak out. And if you've had a bad relationship, it's therapeutic like that. You've got to write a lot of songs. You can't give up, because that lightning in a bottle only hits once in a while, and
Mhm.
you can't. All the songs are not all going to be hits. You have to. It's work. It really is work. I get up every day and I work at it.
But you're doing what you love, and a lot of people can't say that. So I'm really happy for you, Derry. That's wonderful. What's some of your favorite gear to play with? What's your rig setup like for stage?
Oh, we're going to talk equipment now. All
Oh
right.
yeah, we got lots of listeners who enjoy the equipment talk.
Oh, got guitar noobs, do you?
That's right.
Wow, that's great. Well, gear wise, I'm pretty simple. I don't have a massive rig or anything. I'm pretty old school, because to me, well, for guitar players, the sound is in the hands. You
Mm.
know, it comes from your balls and your guts and your hands. I play, I've got a great old Les Paul. I got some Strats. And all my old in the 80s, I was playing a lot of Kramer guitars with the Floyd Roses. And then my signature tire tread guitar,
Mm.
which this is exciting, because Godin Guitars in Canada is doing a signature Derry Grehan model
Oh, wonderful.
very soon. It's my first one, and it's the black one with the yellow tire treads on it. That's kind of my thing, and they've
Mhm.
agreed to. They're going to. I'm working with them right now, and they're going to put a Derry Grehan model out, and it's going to be super badass when it comes out. Fans are gonna love it. So that one's coming out. Amps is just Marshalls. I've always been a Marshall guy, just 2000s or old 900 heads, dual channel heads, couple of cabinets,
Mhm.
turned way up, because I don't go with this transistor crap and this low volume stuff. I mean, to get my sound, you got to move some air. You got to have some volume. You got to make the tubes work and the speakers pump. That's just my opinion. Um, pedals I don't use much, other than maybe some distortion, chorus, flange, wah wah, all that stuff. But mostly I'm just dry, and my
Mm.
sound, my tone is in my hands and the way I set up the amp. Like,
Mm.
I'm a big Eddie Van Halen fan, and you listen to his early stuff, and it's just straightforward through a Marshall, and the playing comes from him.
Mhm.
The tone. Yeah.
Exactly. The tone, and the tone is everything. And just being who you are as a musician and the way you play in making your own signature sound is everything. Not all the other effects and pedals and such. Those are just fun for toys, but you got to make your own sound.
Yeah, you got to have
Absolutely.
your basic tone, and you give any, you give me, like I've had other guitar players come up and play my rig and play my guitar, and it doesn't sound anything like me because they don't have the same hands. And I can go play another guitar player's rig, and it'll sound like me and not them. It's just the way I play that guitar. That's always the way it's been,
Mhm.
and guys don't rely on all these effects and racks and stuff. They're fun, but for our kind of music, I just like straightforward, crunchy tone.
And you mentioned Eddie as one of your influences. Who else would you list as one of your guitar gods?
Well, my first one was Richie Blackmore,
Mm.
Deep Purple, of course. That's the reason I started playing guitar and learning lead guitar. He resonated with me from day one. Love Deep Purple and Santana.
Hmm.
I love early Alice Cooper, stuff like that when I was growing up. But then Eddie came out and kind of changed the landscape. There's guys like Steve Stevens and Joe Satriani and wow, Steve Vai. There's so many different guys out there doing all different styles. I can learn from all of them, and I really enjoy listening to whatever I'm in the mood for, like Joe Bonamassa for the blues stuff. It's just there's so much out there, and it's great.
Now, just a couple more questions before we wrap this up. I wanted to know what the fans can do right now to get in touch with the band and find out what's going on with the new tunes. And do you have any like cool Zoom or video updates coming for them soon?
Go to the Facebook.
Yeah.
Honeymoon Suite Facebook. I mean, that is we're running that hard every day, and it's there's constant content on there. We're promoting the single on there. You can see some new videos that we've done, and you can hear the song. Facebook and Instagram. That's where we're killing it right now.
Beautiful.
They
Now
want information.
I'm going to be speaking with Johnnie this afternoon as well. And so I'm going to be asking him the same question, but what is one of your favorite qualities about Johnnie? You guys have been friends for so long.
we actually we hate each other. Yeah, it's bizarre. It's been a friendship over 35 years. What's my favorite thing about Johnny?
Mm.
We're really different people in a lot of respects, but I think that works for our relationship and for our music. Johnny is just very opinionated, very serious about his singing, what he does, and that's great because I wouldn't want somebody to take it lightly. He likes to do things perfectly, and I think that shows in his performance.
Mm.
I don't know. He's got a good, at the end of the day, he's got a good heart, and he's into this as much as I am, and we have a working relationship, and it still continues because we both value what we have with this band. That it still works, and it's probably doing better now than it was 10 years ago, and we value that and our fans, so we keep going.
The band has an incredible legacy, and it's been an honor to chat with you today, Derry, about the past and the present. And I want to thank you for being on Dope Nostalgia.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It's good talking to you.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And when this interview goes up and the episode comes out, I will be tagging you guys in social media. So you do what you would like with it. If you'd like to share it, I'd love that too.
We make sure you do that because we will post it on the Facebook. We're doing that every day.
Okay. I appreciate that. All
Yeah.
right. Well,
Okay.
yeah. Enjoy your day and take care now.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.